The information provided in this video is for educational and entertainment purposes only. It does not constitute professional marketing, legal, or financial advice. Email marketing involves compliance with various federal and state laws, including the CAN-SPAM Act and the California Consumer Privacy Act. Viewers are advised to consult with qualified professionals and conduct their own due diligence before implementing any strategies discussed in this content. In 2026, the average American small business is losing 40% of its organic customer reach every single year, even as their social media follower counts continue to climb. You are building your business on rented land, and the landlord just tripled the rent. If you are still relying on social media algorithms to reach your audience, you do not truly own your business communication. You own a profile that can be throttled, shadow banned, or deleted at the whim of a Silicon Valley update. We have entered the era of the algorithm apocalypse, where the cost of digital advertising has skyrocketed by over 200% in the last 36 months, leaving local shops and independent creators fighting for scraps of attention. But there is one channel that has outlasted every platform from MySpace to the latest AI-generated video feed, and it is sitting right in the pockets of over 4 billion people. Today, we are breaking down the blueprint for the most powerful recession-proof asset your business will ever own. This is the masterclass on how to reclaim your audience and secure your revenue through the high-stakes world of email marketing in 2026. The problem we are solving today is platform dependency. For many U.S. business owners, the daily routine involves posting content and hoping the algorithm gods favor them. This is not a strategy, it is a gamble. Historical trends indicate that as platforms mature, they transition from organic growth to a pay-to-play model. We saw it with Facebook in 2014, with Instagram in 2019, and we are seeing it with TikTok and integrated AI search engines today. When you send an email, you are not competing with 1,000 other creators for a slot in a feed. You are entering a private, professional space where the user has already given you permission to speak. This video will transition you from a digital sharecropper to a digital landowner. We are going to explore why email remains the undisputed king of return on investment, frequently cited in industry case studies as producing $40 in potential revenue for every $1 spent. We will cover the technical foundations, the psychological triggers of the modern US consumer, and the exact steps to build a list that generates predictable cash flow regardless of what happens to the major social networks. To understand why this is critical right now, we have to look at the state of the US economy and the shifting landscape of digital privacy. In 2026, third-party cookies have been effectively phased out. This means the hyper-targeted ads that small businesses used to rely on are now less accurate and more expensive. Large corporations are pivoting to first-party data, which is information you collect directly from your audience. For a small business in a local American market, whether you are a boutique in Nashville or a consulting firm in Denver, your email list is your primary source of first-party data. It is a database of intent. When someone gives you their email address, they are making a micro-investment in your brand. They are saying that your value proposition is high enough to warrant a spot in their digital personal space. Let's look at a historical case study of a mid-sized retail brand based in Ohio. In 2024, they were spending $6,000 a month on social media advertising to maintain their sales volume. By 2025, the cost of those same ads rose to $9,000 while their conversion rate dropped by 15% due to increased competition and ad fatigue. They pivoted their strategy to focus entirely on list growth and automated nurturing. Within 12 months, they reduced their ad spend by 50% while increasing their total revenue by 22%. Why? Because they stopped paying to rent their customers' attention and started owning it. They utilized their email list to drive repeat purchases, which are significantly more profitable than first-time acquisitions. This is the potential outcome for any U.S. small business that stops chasing trends and starts building an infrastructure. Depth is required here because many people mistake email marketing for simply sending newsletters. That is the 2010 version of the strategy. In 2026, email marketing is about behavioral triggers and hypersegmentation. If a customer visits your website and looks at a specific category of products, but doesn't buy, your system should know how to follow up with relevant information about that specific category. This isn't about being intrusive. It's about being helpful and timely. In a world of infinite noise, the business that provides the most relevant signal wins. We are going to look at the 3 pillars of a successful 2026 email strategy: ownership, intent, and longevity. Ownership means that if every social media platform disappeared tomorrow, your business would remain operational. Your list is a portable asset. You can move it from one service provider to another. You can back it up on a hard drive. It is yours. Intent refers to the mindset of the user. When someone is scrolling through a social feed, they are in entertainment mode. They are looking for a distraction. When they open their inbox, they are in action mode. They are checking updates, responding to queries, and making purchasing decisions. The conversion rate of an email is historically 3 to 5 times higher than that of a social media post, because the environment matches the intent. Longevity refers to the lifespan of the communication. A post on a social feed has a half-life of about 2 to 6 hours. An email sits in the inbox until it is addressed. It has staying power. Furthermore, we must address the inbox zero culture that has permeated the U.S. workforce and consumer base. People are more protective of their inboxes than ever before. This is why our 2026 approach is not about volume, it is about value. We will detail how to navigate the technical hurdles of 2026, such as Apple's mail privacy protection and the increasingly stringent spam filters of Gmail and Outlook. To succeed today, a small business must understand SPF, DKIM, and MARC records. These are not just technical acronyms, they are your digital passport. Without them, your emails will never see the light of day, regardless of how good your copy is. We will break down how to set these up so your deliverability remains high, ensuring your message actually reaches the person it was intended for. Small businesses often feel overwhelmed by the technicality, but the 2026 tools have become more intuitive. The barrier to entry is lower than it has ever been, yet the gap between those who use these tools correctly and those who don't is widening. We are going to bridge that gap. We will look at how to craft a lead magnet that actually works in a post-AI world. People no longer want a generic 10-page PDF. They want immediate solutions, calculators, templates, or exclusive access. We will discuss how to identify what your specific US audience needs and how to trade that value for their contact information. This masterclass is designed to be the definitive guide. We will not be skipping over the boring parts because the boring parts, the data hygiene, the segmentation, and the compliance, are exactly where the profit is hidden. If you are ready to stop being a slave to the algorithm and start building a real, tangible asset for your American small business, then you are in the right place. By the end of this 10-part series, you will have the framework to launch, grow, and monetize a list that serves as the heartbeat of your company. We are moving beyond the basics and diving into the mechanics of what makes people click, what makes them buy, and what makes them stay loyal for years to come. Before you can write a single word of copy or design a beautiful template, you have to build the engine that will deliver your message. In 2026, the technical landscape of the American inbox is more guarded than a federal vault. If you approach this like it is 2015, your emails will reside permanently in the spam folder, never to be seen by a human eye. This is where most US small businesses fail before they even start. They pick a platform based on a flashy advertisement rather than technical capability. We are going to ensure that does not happen to you. Choosing your email service provider, or ESP, is the most critical infrastructure decision you will make this year. Think of your ESP as the delivery truck for your business. Some trucks are built for heavy-duty long-haul transport, while others are built for nimble local deliveries. In the United States market of 2026, we have 3 primary contenders that dominate the landscape for small to medium enterprises. First, there is the e-commerce specialist. If you are running a shop on Shopify or BigCommerce, you need a tool that speaks the language of inventory and purchase history. Historical trends show that businesses using deeply integrated tools like Klaviyo or SendLane see a significantly higher return because these platforms can see exactly what a customer bought, when they bought it, and how much they spent. Imagine Sarah, a business owner in Austin, Texas, who runs an artisanal candle shop called Hill Country Glow. If Sarah uses a basic ESP, she can only send a general blast to everyone. But with a specialized e-commerce ESP, her system automatically detects when a customer in New York has bought a lavender candle and triggers a follow-up email 14 days later suggesting a matching room spray. That is the level of automation required to stay competitive today. Then we have the content-focused platforms. If you are a consultant in Chicago or a real estate agent in Miami, your product is your expertise. You need a platform that prioritizes readability and ease of long-form writing. Tools like Behave or ConvertKit, which rebranded to Seva, are designed for the creator economy. They focus on clean aesthetics and referral programs. Finally, there are the all-rounders like MailChimp or Constant Contact, which provide a broad set of tools for the generalist business. The key in 2026 is to ensure your chosen platform supports the latest authentication protocols natively. You do not want to be manually coding your security headers in this day and age. Once you have selected your engine, we must address the digital plumbing. This is the least glamorous part of email marketing, but it is the difference between a thriving business and a silent inbox. In 2026, Google and Yahoo have implemented strict requirements for anyone sending more than 5,000 emails a day to United States residents. You must set up your SPF, DKIM, and MARC records. SPF, or Sender Policy Framework, is essentially an authorized list of who is allowed to send mail on behalf of your domain. DKIM, or Domain Keys Identified Mail, acts as a digital signature that proves the email was not tampered with during transit. DMARC, which stands for Domain-Based Message Authentication, Reporting, and Conformance, tells the receiving server what to do if the first two checks fail. Historical data suggests that domains with a properly configured DMARC policy of reject or quarantine see a 20% increase in deliverability compared to those with no policy at all. This is because the receiving servers at Gmail and Outlook trust you more when you have clearly defined your security boundaries. Imagine if you spent 3 days crafting the perfect Black Friday announcement for your fitness studio in Denver. You have the perfect offer and the perfect subject line. But because you failed to update your DNS settings with these 3 records, the major providers flag your domain as a potential spoofing risk. Your email doesn't just go to spam. It is dropped entirely by the server. You have effectively become invisible to your customers. We are going to prevent that by ensuring your ESP provides you with the name records or TXT records that you need to copy into your domain registrar, whether that is GoDaddy, Namecheap, or Cloudflare. After the technical foundation is laid, we have to talk about the gateway to your list, the opt-in mechanism. In 2026, the American consumer is suffering from chronic subscription fatigue. They are bombarded with requests to join newsletters, follow social accounts, and subscribe to premium feeds. If your call to action is simply join our newsletter for updates, you are going to see a conversion rate of less than 1%. That is a historical certainty in the current market. To win, you must offer a lead magnet that provides immediate, tangible value. Let's look at a case study of a local landscaping company in Charlotte, North Carolina. For years, their website had a small box at the bottom that said, "Sign up for our monthly gardening tips." They were lucky to get 2 signups a week. In early 2026, they shifted their strategy. They created a simple 2-page PDF titled, "The 5-Step Drought-Proofing Guide for Carolina Lawns." They placed this behind a simple sign-up form. Within the first 30 days, their sign-up rate increased by 400%. Why? Because they solved a specific, urgent problem for their local audience. They didn't ask for a favor, they offered a solution. Your lead magnet must be the aspirin for a specific headache your customer is feeling. If you are a financial educator, your lead magnet could be a debt snowball calculator. If you are a boutique owner, it could be a spring style guide for the professional woman. The goal is to move the relationship from stranger to beneficiary as quickly as possible. You are establishing your authority before you ever ask for a sale. Furthermore, you need to consider the anatomy of the sign-up form itself. In 2026, mobile traffic accounts for over 70% of all web visits in the United States. If your sign-up form is a giant pop-up that is impossible to close on a smartphone, you are not building a list. You are driving people away from your website. We recommend using a multi-step form or a simple slide-in that respects the user's experience. Data shows that forms asking for only an email address have a much higher completion rate than those asking for a first name, last name, phone number, and physical address. Every extra field you add to your form is a hurdle that will lower your conversion rate. Unless you have a specific need for that data, keep it simple. You can always collect more information later through behavioral tracking or follow-up surveys. The final piece of this foundation is the warm-up phase. If you are starting a new domain or moving 10,000 contacts to a new ESP, you cannot simply hit send on a massive campaign. The algorithms that govern the US digital space will see a sudden spike in traffic from a new source and assume you are a bot. Historical trends indicate that a throttled approach is necessary. You start by sending to your most engaged 20% of users. These are the people most likely to open and click, which sends a signal to Gmail that your content is wanted. Over the course of 2 to 4 weeks, you slowly increase the volume. This builds your sender reputation, which is essentially a credit score for your email domain. A high sender reputation ensures that when you do have a major announcement or a seasonal sale, your messages actually land in the primary inbox rather than the promotions tab or the junk folder. We have now built the engine, secured the plumbing, and created the gateway. You have a professional infrastructure that puts you ahead of 90% of your competitors who are still sending emails from a personal Gmail account or a poorly configured legacy system. But a high-performance engine is useless without the right fuel. Now that the system is ready, we have to talk about what actually goes inside the emails. If you have the best deliverability in the world but your content is boring or self-centered, your subscribers will leave as fast as they arrived. We need to master the art of the welcome sequence, the automated series of messages that introduces your brand and builds trust while you sleep. Imagine if every single person who walked into your store or visited your site was greeted by your best salesperson, given a personalized tour, and offered a specific solution to their problem, all without you lifting a finger. That is what a 2026 automation strategy looks like, and it is exactly what we are covering next. We are moving into the psychology of the first 48 hours of a subscriber's journey, and how you can use that window to turn a casual browser into a dedicated customer. The first 48 hours of a new subscriber joining your list are often referred to by industry experts as the golden window. In the 2026 digital landscape, this is the period where your brand has the highest level of psychological salience in the mind of the consumer. Historical trends from the past decade show that open rates for a well-timed welcome sequence can soar as high as 70 or 80%, which is an astronomical figure compared to the 20% average for standard weekly broadcasts. If you fail to capitalize on this initial burst of curiosity, you are essentially leaving your most valuable leads to wither on the vine. This is not just about saying hello. It is about establishing a narrative, setting expectations, and moving the subscriber through a deliberate journey from a cold lead to a warm prospect. Imagine Marcus, a business owner in Seattle who operates an elite mobile car detailing service called Emerald City Shine. When a potential customer visits Marcus's website and downloads his free guide titled The 5 Secrets to Maintaining Your Ceramic Coating, that customer is at the peak of their interest. If Marcus waits 2 days to follow up, that customer has likely already looked at 3 other competitors or simply forgotten why they downloaded the guide in the first place. In 2026, speed is the ultimate differentiator. The first email in your welcome sequence must trigger the exact millisecond the user hits the submit button. This first interaction is the delivery of the value you promised. It should be clean, fast-loading, and focused entirely on the subscriber's needs. Marcus's first email doesn't just attach a PDF. It includes a brief, high-energy video welcoming the subscriber and explaining exactly how to use the guide to save money on long-term vehicle maintenance. By doing this, Marcus has already transitioned from a service provider to a helpful consultant. The second email in the sequence, which should typically arrive 24 hours later, is where you build the bridge of authority. This is where many U.S. small businesses make the mistake of jumping straight into a hard sell. In 2026, consumers are hyper-aware of sales tactics and are quick to hit the unsubscribe button if they feel pressured too early. Instead, use this second touchpoint to share your origin story or your business philosophy. This is about humanizing the brand. Let's look at a case study of a boutique organic skincare line based in Vermont. Their second email tells the story of the founder's struggle with skin sensitivity and why they refuse to use synthetic fillers. By sharing this story, they aren't just selling soap. They are selling a set of values. This builds what psychologists call the halo effect, where the customer begins to associate the brand with positive traits like integrity and transparency. Step by step, this email should outline a common problem the customer faces and explain the unique framework your business uses to solve it. Do not sell the product yet, sell the perspective. By the 48-hour mark, it is time for the third email, the social proof and the soft offer. In the United States market, social proof is the most powerful psychological trigger for local businesses. We are conditioned to look for the wisdom of the crowd. Imagine if Marcus from Seattle sends a third email that features a short testimonial from a local client who had their vintage Porsche restored. He isn't just saying he is good at his job. He is letting a peer of the subscriber say it for him. This email should clearly articulate the potential outcomes that other customers have experienced. It should be detailed and data-driven. For a service-based business, this could be a case study of a project. For a retail business, it could be a compilation of 5-star reviews focusing on the specific product the subscriber showed interest in. This is the moment where you introduce your first soft call to action. It isn't a high-pressure demand. It is an invitation to take the next logical step, such as booking a discovery call or using a first-time customer discount code that expires in a few days. A critical component of the 2026 welcome sequence is behavioral segmentation. Your ESP should be programmed to recognize how the subscriber interacts with these first 3 emails. If a subscriber opens the first 2 emails but does not click the link in the third, your system should be smart enough to send a different 4th email than it would to someone who clicked every link. This is called a branching logic flow. For example, if Marcus sees that a subscriber clicked the link specifically about interior detailing, but ignored the exterior ceramic coating information, his 4th email should pivot to provide more value regarding leather care and interior sanitization. This level of personalization is what creates a high-retention environment. It proves to the subscriber that you are paying attention to their specific needs, rather than shouting at a crowd. We also have to discuss the technical formatting of these emails for 2026. With the rise of AI-assisted inboxes, your emails are often being summarized by the user's mail client before they even open them. This means your subject lines and your preview text must be optimized for both humans and AI filters. Your subject line should be a curiosity gap or a clear benefit, while your preview text should provide the context that encourages the click. Historical data suggests that subject lines phrased as a question see a 15% higher open rate in the U.S. professional sector. For example, instead of "Our detailing prices," Marcus might use, "Is your car's resale value dropping?" This triggers a specific concern that his target demographic likely shares. Furthermore, every email in your welcome sequence must have a clear and singular objective. One of the biggest mistakes small business owners make is cluttering an email with 4 different links to 4 different places. This leads to decision paralysis. In 2026, the goal of each email is to get the subscriber to take one specific micro-action. Whether that is clicking a link to an article, replying to the email with a question, or following a link to a product page, the path must be unmistakable. We also recommend the use of the PS line at the end of every email. Data shows that the PS is often the second most read part of an email after the subject line. It is the perfect place to restate your main offer or add a sense of gentle urgency regarding a limited time bonus for new subscribers. The welcome sequence is your opportunity to automate the know, like, and trust factor. It is the foundation of your long-term relationship. But what happens after the honeymoon phase is over? Many businesses have a great welcome sequence and then nothing. They go silent for 3 weeks and then blast a random promotion. This is how you kill your deliverability and your reputation. You need a consistent engine that keeps your brand at the top of their mind without being an annoyance. You need a strategy for the long-term nurture that balances education, entertainment, and sales. In the next part, we are going to dive into the 2 most important types of ongoing campaigns, the broadcast and the sequence. We will look at how a bakery in Ohio uses a weekly behind-the-scenes broadcast to maintain a 90% retention rate over 2 years, and how you can implement a similar strategy to ensure that when your customer is finally ready to buy, you are the only name they think of. We are moving from the first impression to the long-term partnership. It is time to talk about the nurture engine and how to stay relevant in an inbox that is constantly trying to filter you out. The transition from a new lead to a long-term customer is where most U.S. small businesses lose their momentum. This is the stage where the initial excitement of the welcome sequence fades, and the reality of consistent communication begins. If you stop emailing after the first week, you are effectively ghosting your prospects. In 2026, the cost of acquiring a new lead in the American market is at an all-time high, meaning every person who leaves your list due to neglect represents a significant loss in potential future revenue. We avoid this by building what we call the nurture engine. This is a system designed to keep your brand top of mind without becoming a nuisance. To understand the power of a nurture engine, let us look at a case study of a local bakery in Columbus, Ohio, called Midwest Flour Company. The owner, Emily, initially struggled with a high unsubscribe rate. She would only email her list when she had a sale or a new product launch, which happened about once a month. Because her emails were sporadic and always asking for money, her subscribers viewed them as spam. In 2025, her open rates hovered around 12%. In 2026, Emily shifted to a weekly broadcast strategy she called the Tuesday Tasting. Every Tuesday at 8 a.m. Eastern Time, she sent a brief, story-driven email. One week it was a behind-the-scenes look at how they source organic rye from a farm in Pennsylvania. The next week was a tip on how to keep sourdough fresh in the humid Ohio summer. Only every 4th email contained a direct call to purchase. Within 6 months, her open rates climbed to 48%. Historical trends indicate that when a business provides consistent, non-promotional value, the audience begins to treat the inbox as a destination rather than a chore. The nurture engine relies on two distinct types of communication: the broadcast and the automated sequence. A broadcast is a manual email sent to your entire list or a large segment at a specific time. This is best for news, seasonal updates, or immediate offers. Think of it like a local newspaper. It is timely and relevant to the current moment. For example, if you run a boutique in Nashville and a sudden cold front is hitting the South, a broadcast email about your new winter coats is highly relevant. An automated sequence, on the other hand, is a series of pre-written emails triggered by a specific action regardless of the date. If the welcome sequence is the front door to your business, the nurture sequence is the hallway that leads them deeper into your world. Imagine if you are a professional consultant named Robert based in New Jersey. Robert doesn't just send a welcome sequence. He has an automated 52-week nurture sequence. Every Sunday, his system sends one high-value marketing insight to anyone who has been on his list for more than 7 days. Because this is automated, Robert doesn't have to think about it. Whether someone joined his list in January or July, they receive the same foundational education in the same order. This ensures that every lead is being nurtured with the same level of quality. The potential outcome of this strategy is a list that is perpetually warm. When Robert decides to launch a new high-ticket mastermind group in October, he isn't speaking to strangers. He is speaking to an audience that has received value from him every single week for months. A critical rule for the 2026 U.S. consumer is the 80-20 value-to-sales ratio. In an era where AI can generate thousands of marketing emails in seconds, the American public has developed a sophisticated filter for sleazy language. If 80% of your content is educational, entertaining, or helpful, your audience will tolerate the 20% that is promotional. If you flip that ratio, you will see your deliverability drop as users report your emails as junk. Step by step, you should identify 3 content pillars for your business. For a fitness studio in San Diego, these pillars might be nutritional tips, success stories from local members, and home workout modifications. By rotating through these pillars, the content remains fresh and covers various interests within your target demographic. We must also discuss the concept of email hygiene within the nurture engine. In 2026, sending emails to people who never open them is a fast track to the promotions tab. The algorithms used by Gmail and Outlook monitor your engagement to send ratio. If you have 10,000 people on your list but only 500 are opening your weekly updates, the providers will assume your content is low quality and start throttling your reach. This is why we implement a sunset flow. This is an automated sequence that triggers when a subscriber hasn't opened an email in 90 days. You send a series of 3 emails asking if they still want to hear from you. If they don't engage with those 3, you remove them from your list. It may feel counterintuitive to delete potential customers, but historical data shows that a smaller, highly engaged list is far more profitable and has better deliverability than a massive, dormant one. Imagine you are a real estate agent in Phoenix named Sarah. Sarah noticed her deliverability was slipping, and her emails were frequently landing in the spam folders of her prospects. She realized that over 30% of her list consisted of people who had moved out of state or had already bought a home years ago. By running a sunset flow and removing 2,000 inactive subscribers, her open rate among the remaining 5,000 jumped from 15% to 45%. Consequently, the primary inbox providers recognized her as a high-quality sender, and her emails started appearing at the top of her active clients' inboxes again. This is a vital maintenance step for any U.S. small business aiming for longevity. The psychology of the 2026 inbox is also shaped by the reply strategy. In previous years, businesses used no-reply email addresses to prevent their inboxes from being flooded. In 2026, this is a massive mistake. You want your subscribers to reply to you. Every time a subscriber replies to your email, it tells the email service providers that there is a real relationship between the sender and the receiver. This is the strongest possible signal for high deliverability. In your nurture emails, you should frequently end with a simple, low-friction question. Instead of just giving a tip, ask, "Have you ever tried this before?" Hit reply and let me know. Even if you only get a handful of responses, those interactions boost the reputation of your entire domain for the thousands of other people on your list. Furthermore, we must address the mobile-first reality of the United States. In 2026, most business owners check their emails on the go between meetings or while commuting. Your nurture emails must be optimized for one-handed scrolling. This means short paragraphs, clear fonts, and buttons that are easy to tap with a thumb. If your nurture email is a giant block of text that requires horizontal scrolling, it will be deleted in seconds. We recommend a single column design with a high contrast between text and background. The nurture engine is what transforms your email list from a static database into a living, breathing community. It is the long game. It requires patience and a commitment to serving your audience before you ask them to serve your bottom line. But once this engine is running, it creates a level of business stability that social media can never provide. You are no longer chasing the next viral hit. You are cultivating a garden of loyal advocates. However, even the best nurture strategy will fail if you are talking to the wrong people about the wrong things. Not everyone on your list is the same. Some are ready to buy today while others are just browsing. Some are interested in your premium services, while others only want your entry-level products. To truly unlock the potential of your list in 2026, you have to stop treating your audience as a monolith. You need to understand how to slice and dice your list to send the right message to the right person at the absolute perfect time. In the next part, we are going to explore the world of segmentation and tagging. We will show you how a pet supply store in Oregon uses interest tags to ensure they never send a cat-related promotion to a dog owner, and how you can use these same techniques to double your conversion rates without increasing your send frequency. We are moving from broadcasting to precision marketing. In 2026, the era of the digital blast is officially dead. If you are still sending the same identical email to every person on your list, you are not just wasting your time. You are actively damaging your sender reputation. The modern United States consumer has an incredibly low tolerance for irrelevance. When they open their phone in the morning and see an email that has nothing to do with their specific needs, they do not just ignore it, they unsubscribe or worse, mark it as spam. To survive in this high competition landscape, you must transition from broadcasting to precision marketing. This requires a deep understanding of two fundamental tools: tagging and segmentation. These are not just technical features in your software. They are the lenses through which you view your audience as individuals rather than a faceless crowd. To visualize this, imagine Liam, who runs a high-end pet supply store in Portland, Oregon, called Pause and Ponder. In 2024, Liam had a list of 5,000 pet owners. Whenever he had a sale on cat litter, he would send an email to all 5,000 people. Historical trends showed that about 60% of his list only owned dogs. For those 3,000 dog owners, the email about cat litter was digital noise. Over time, these dog owners stopped opening Liam's emails altogether because they assumed the content wouldn't apply to them. By the time 2026 rolled out, Liam's open rates had plummeted to 9%. This is the cost of the one-size-fits-all approach. Precision marketing allows Liam to avoid this by labeling his subscribers based on their actual interests. Tagging is the process of attaching a digital sticker to a subscriber's profile based on their behavior or information they provide. In 2026, this happens automatically behind the scenes. When a new customer joins Liam's list, they might click a link in the welcome email that says, "I'm a proud dog parent." The moment they click that link, the email service provider attaches a tag called Dog Owner to their profile. Later, if that same customer buys a bag of premium grain-free kibble, another tag is added, High Value Buyer. Now Liam has a clear picture of who this person is. He isn't guessing. He has hard data based on their specific actions. Segmentation is what you do with those tags. While a tag is a single label, a segment is a dynamic group of people who meet specific criteria. Liam can now create a segment called Active Dog Owners, which includes everyone who has the dog owner tag and has opened an email in the last 30 days. When he has a new shipment of indestructible chew toys, he sends the announcement only to this specific segment. The potential outcome of this targeted approach is staggering. Case studies across the U.S. retail sector in 2026 show that segmented campaigns often see a 14% increase in open rates and a 100% increase in click-through rates compared to non-segmented ones. This is because the message perfectly matches the recipient's reality. Let's look at another scenario involving Chloe, a fitness studio owner in Atlanta. Chloe offers 3 distinct services: high-intensity interval training, restorative yoga, and personalized nutrition coaching. If Chloe sends a grueling HIIT workout tip to a client who only attends yoga for stress relief, she creates a disconnect. Instead, Chloe uses interest-based segmentation. On her website's sign-up form, she asks one simple question: what is your primary fitness goal? The options are build strength, increase flexibility, or improve nutrition. Based on their choice, the subscriber is placed into a specific nurture track. The person looking for flexibility gets stories about yoga benefits and tips on mobility, while the person looking for strength gets heavy lifting advice. In 2026, this level of personalization is not a luxury. It is the standard expectation for any American small business. Beyond interests, we must also consider behavioral segmentation. This is where you group people based on how they interact with your brand. A common and highly effective segment is the VIP segment. These are the customers who have made 3 or more purchases, or have spent a certain dollar amount in the last 6 months. In 2026, many U.S. businesses use this segment to offer early access to new products or exclusive, thank you content. By acknowledging their loyalty, you increase the lifetime value of these customers. On the flip side, you have the lapsed customer segment. These are people who haven't made a purchase or opened an email in 90 days. Instead of ignoring them, you can trigger a specific win-back sequence designed to re-engage them with a special offer or a "we miss you" message. Geographic segmentation is another powerful tool for U.S. businesses, especially those with physical locations or regional services. If you are a contractor in New Jersey and a major storm is forecasted, you can segment your list by zip code and send a "how to prepare your roof for high winds" guide only to the people in the affected area. This is hyper-relevant, timely, and positions you as a helpful neighbor, rather than just another company looking for a check. This builds a level of trust that a national competitor simply cannot replicate. Step by step, the implementation of this system starts with your data collection points. You need to audit every place someone enters your world. Is your sign-up form asking the right questions? Are your links in your emails tagged so you know what people are clicking on? In 2026, most ESPs allow you to set up automation rules, so that if someone visits a specific page on your site 3 times, they are automatically tagged with interest in that topic. For example, if a subscriber visits the Advanced Marketing Consulting page on a professional's website multiple times, they should be tagged as a hot prospect for that specific service. However, a word of caution for the small business owner: do not oversegment. It is easy to get caught in the trap of creating 50 different segments for every minor detail. This leads to analysis paralysis, where you become so overwhelmed by the complexity that you stop sending emails altogether. In 2026, the gold standard for a small business is to have 3 to 5 core interest segments and 3 engagement segments: active, at-risk, and inactive. This provides enough precision to be highly effective without creating an administrative nightmare. The psychology of segmentation is simple. People want to be seen. In an age of AI-generated noise and mass-market advertising, a personalized email that speaks to a customer's specific situation feels like a breath of fresh air. It proves that you are paying attention and that you value their time. When Liam from Portland sends a happy birthday email to a dog named Buster along with a coupon for a free organic treat, he isn't just marketing. He is building a relationship. That relationship is what makes his business recession-proof. It is what keeps his customers coming back to him instead of going to a massive online conglomerate. We have now covered how to build the engine, how to fuel it with content, and how to direct that content to the right people with surgical precision. Your infrastructure is world-class. Your strategy is data-driven. But there is one final hurdle that stops many business owners in their tracks: the visual presentation. Should your emails be beautiful, image-heavy works of art, or should they look like a personal note from a friend? In 2026, the answer is more controversial than you might think. There is a hidden battle between high design and plain text, and choosing the wrong side can get your emails blocked by the very people you are trying to reach. In the next part, we are going to tear down the myths of email design. We will look at why some of the most successful businesses in the United States are intentionally making their emails look ugly, and how the rise of AI-powered dark mode is changing the way we have to think about layouts and colors. We are moving into the visual strategy that ensures your message is readable, accessible, and high-converting on every device from a smartwatch to a desktop monitor. In 2026, the visual presentation of your email is no longer just about aesthetics. It is about surviving the sophisticated filtering systems of modern AI-driven inboxes. We are currently witnessing a massive divide in design philosophies between the high-gloss, image-heavy approach and the minimalist, personal text approach. For a United States small business owner, choosing the wrong visual strategy can lead to your emails being automatically archived by an AI assistant that deems your content as promotional clutter. The first rule of 2026 design is that your email must be functional before it is beautiful. It has to load in less than a second on a mobile data connection in rural Nebraska, and it has to be readable on the small circular screen of a smartwatch while someone is jogging through Central Park. To understand this, let us look at the case study of Jackson, a custom furniture maker based in Portland, Maine. Jackson used to send out elaborate monthly newsletters filled with high-resolution photos of his woodworking projects. He used a drag-and-drop editor that created a complex HTML structure with multiple columns and background images. By the start of 2026, Jackson noticed his engagement was falling off a cliff. When he looked at the data, he realized that the latest version of the major mobile mail apps was struggling to render his emails correctly. On many devices, the images were being blocked by default to save data, leaving his emails looking like a series of broken white boxes. Furthermore, the AI summaries provided to his customers were often nonsensical because the text was embedded inside the images, making it invisible to the filtering algorithms. Jackson pivoted to what we call the friend-to-friend aesthetic. He stripped away the columns, the background colors, and the heavy headers. He started sending emails that looked exactly like a personal note you would receive from a colleague. The font was a standard system serif, the layout was a single column, and he used only one high-quality, compressed image per email. Historical trends from 2025 and 2026 indicate that this minimalist approach often leads to a 30% increase in click-through rates for service-based businesses. Why? Because it feels human. In a world saturated with AI-generated marketing graphics, a plain text email stands out by being authentic and low pressure. It signals to the recipient that there is a real person on the other end of the line. However, we must balance this with the needs of visual-centric businesses. Imagine Elena, who runs a boutique fashion label in Miami called Soul & Sea. Elena's customers expect a visual experience. For her, a plain text email would be a failure of branding. But Elena's 2026 strategy is different from the old ways. She uses what is known as hybrid design. This involves using a clean single-column layout with a high ratio of live text to images. Live text is actual type text that a computer can read and highlight, rather than text saved as part of a JPG or PNG file. This ensures that even if her images are blocked, the core message and the call to action button are still visible. Elena also utilizes something called SVG graphics for her logos and icons, which stay crisp and sharp regardless of how much a user zooms in on their screen. One of the most significant technical challenges for U.S. small businesses in 2026 is the dark mode revolution. Data shows that over 85% of American smartphone users now have their devices set to dark mode by default. If you design an email with a hard-coded white background and a dark logo, and you don't account for dark mode, your email might look like a glaring white strobe light in a dark room, or your logo might completely disappear into the black background. You must use transparent backgrounds for all your images and logos. Step by step, you should be testing your emails in both light and dark environments before every send. Many modern email service providers now offer a toggle switch to preview how your colors will invert. If your brand colors look muddy or unreadable in dark mode, you need to adjust your palette for the digital space. Beyond color, we have to talk about the inverted pyramid method of design. This is a framework that guides the reader's eye from the moment they open the email down to the final action. You start with a broad, attention-grabbing headline. Below that, you provide a narrowing amount of context or storytelling. Finally, at the tip of the inverted pyramid, you place your call to action button. In 2026, the attention span of a user in a busy city like New York or Los Angeles is measured in milliseconds. If they have to hunt for your link or scroll through 3 paragraphs of fluff to find out what you want them to do, you have already lost them. Your call to action should be a high-contrast button that is large enough to be easily tapped by a thumb on a small screen. We call this the fat thumb rule. If your links are too close together, the user will likely misclick, get frustrated, and close the app. We must also address accessibility, which has become a legal and ethical cornerstone of American business in 2026. Your emails must be readable by screen readers for the visually impaired. This means you must always include alt text for every image. Alt text is a short description of what is in the photo. If you have a picture of a new leather bag, your alt text shouldn't just be image 01. It should be handcrafted brown leather tote bag with gold buckles. This not only helps with accessibility, but also provides context to users who have images turned off. Furthermore, ensure your font size is at least 16 pixels. Anything smaller is a strain on the eyes. especially for the aging demographic that still holds significant purchasing power in the United States. Another critical element of 2026 visual strategy is the use of white space. In an attempt to be helpful, many business owners cram as much information as possible into a single email. This creates visual clutter that leads to cognitive overload. Think of white space as the breathing room for your content. It separates different ideas and makes your text more digestible. Historical case studies show that increasing the line height and the margins of an email can improve reading comprehension and retention by up to 20%. You want your subscribers to feel a sense of calm when they open your email, not a sense of being overwhelmed. As we move forward, consider the potential outcomes of a well-designed visual strategy. It isn't just about looking professional. It is about building a consistent brand identity. Whether you choose the minimalist plaintext route or the hybrid visual route, the key is consistency. Your emails should feel like an extension of your website and your physical location. If Jackson's plaintext emails always use the same sign-off and the same simple font, his subscribers will eventually recognize his brand without even looking at the sender name. This is the ultimate goal of visual design: to create a subconscious recognition that builds trust over time. We have mastered the engine, the strategy, and the look. Your emails are now technical masterpieces that look great and land in the inbox every time. But even the most beautiful, perfectly delivered email is just an empty vessel if the words inside it don't resonate. You can have the best deliverability in the country and a design that would win awards, but if your copy is dry, confusing, or too aggressive, no one will buy. The art of persuasion in 2026 has shifted away from hype and toward empathy and clarity. In the next part, we are going to dive into the psychology of copywriting. We will explore how to write subject lines that get opened in a crowded inbox, how to tell stories that keep people reading until the very last word, and the secret of the open loop that keeps your subscribers waiting for your next email, like it is their favorite television show. We are moving from the visual to the verbal. It is time to learn how to speak the language of your customer. In 2026, the inbox is the most competitive real estate on the planet, and the only way to win is to master the psychology of the written word. We have already built the technical infrastructure and designed the visual shell, but now we must address the heart of the matter: the copy. Copywriting is not just about putting words on a page. It is about moving a human being from a state of indifference to a state of action. In the United States, where the average consumer is exposed to thousands of marketing messages every single day, your words must cut through the noise with surgical precision. If your copy is dry, corporate, or self-centered, it will be deleted before the first sentence is even finished. To succeed today, you must understand that people do not buy products. They buy better versions of themselves or solutions to their most persistent frustrations. Let us start with the gateway to your entire strategy: the subject line. In 2026, the subject line is no longer just a title. It is a filter. With the rise of AI-powered email clients that summarize content for the user, your subject line must be compelling enough to bypass the summary and earn a full read. Historical trends suggest that short, punchy subject lines under 40 characters are significantly more effective than long, descriptive ones. Imagine Ben, who owns a specialized hardware store in Columbus, Georgia. Ben used to send emails with subject lines like "Our monthly newsletter for March 2026" and "New power tools in stock." His open rates were abysmal. When Ben switched to curiosity-driven subject lines like "The mistake that ruins your deck" or "Why your drill keeps smoking," his open rates nearly doubled. Why? Because these subject lines created a curiosity gap. They identified a problem the reader already had and hinted at a solution without giving it all away. This is the Zygarnik effect in action, the psychological phenomenon where people remember uncompleted tasks or unresolved questions better than completed ones. By opening a loop in the subject line, you compel the reader to open the email to close that loop. Once the email is opened, you have approximately 3 seconds to hook the reader. This is where the first sentence or the lead becomes critical. In 2026, you should never start an email with "I hope this finds you well" or "My name is and I work for." These are wasted words that signal to the reader that a generic sales pitch is coming. Instead, start in the middle of the action or with a provocative question. Imagine if Ben from Georgia started his email with, "I was standing in the lumber aisle yesterday when I saw a customer doing something that made me cringe." This immediately puts the reader in a scene. It creates a narrative. It makes them wonder what the customer was doing and if they are making the same mistake. This is the power of storytelling in a commercial context. Storytelling is the most underutilized tool in the U.S. Small Business Toolkit. We are biologically hardwired to respond to stories. When we hear a story, our brains release oxytocin, which builds trust and empathy. In 2026, where consumer skepticism is at an all-time high, trust is your most valuable currency. A case study from a boutique coffee roaster in Seattle illustrates this perfectly. Instead of listing the technical specs of their new light roast, they wrote a story about the specific farmer in Ethiopia they sourced the beans from, the challenges he faced with the late harvest, and the unique flavor profile that resulted from that struggle. The potential outcome of this narrative approach was a 30% higher conversion rate than their previous technical spec emails. They didn't just sell coffee, they sold a connection to a human story. The structure of your email should follow the PAS framework: problem, agitation, solution. First, you identify a specific problem your customer is facing. For example, if you are a tax consultant in Dallas, the problem might be the complexity of new 2026 tax codes. Next, you agitate that problem. You talk about the stress of potential audits, the lost time spent on paperwork, and the frustration of not knowing if you are overpaying. You make the reader feel the weight of the problem. Finally, you present your solution, not as a product but as the relief to that agitation. This is not about fear-mongering. It is about empathy. It is about showing the customer that you truly understand their situation. In 2026, clarity beats cleverness every single time. Many business owners try to use flowery language or industry jargon to sound professional, but this only creates a barrier between you and your audience. Your copy should read like a transcript of a conversation you would have with a friend over lunch. Use short sentences. Use simple words. Break up your text into small, digestible paragraphs. If an email looks like a wall of text, the modern US consumer will simply close it. You want to create a slippery slide effect where the first sentence leads naturally to the second, and the second leads to the third until they reach your call to action. Speaking of the call to action or CTA, this is where most emails fall apart. In 2026, your CTA must be specific and low friction. Avoid generic buttons like click here or learn more. Instead, use benefit-driven language. If you are offering a guide on home renovation, your CTA should be send me my renovation guide or I want to save on my remodel. This reminds the reader of the value they are getting. Furthermore, you should only have one primary goal per email. If you ask the reader to follow you on Instagram, read a blog post, and buy a product all in the same email, they will likely do none of those things. Focus on one path and make it as easy as possible to follow. One advanced technique for 2026 is the use of the PS at the bottom of the email. Historical data shows that the PS is often the most read part of the email, because people tend to scroll to the bottom to see how long it is. This is the perfect place to restate your offer, add a bit of urgency, or include a testimonial. For instance, Ben from the Georgia hardware store might add a PS that says, "Just a reminder, the spring deck sale ends on Friday, and we only have 12 units of that specific sealant left." This adds a gentle, honest reason for the customer to act now rather than later. We must also discuss the role of AI in 2026 copywriting. While AI can help you brainstorm headlines or draft basic outlines, it cannot replace the human element of your brand. The most successful US businesses are using AI as a collaborator, not a replacement. They use it to analyze which subject lines are performing best, but they write the final copy themselves to ensure the voice is authentic. In 2026, the telltale signs of purely AI-generated copy, repetitive structures, overly formal tone, and a lack of specific local context, are easily spotted by consumers and often lead to a loss of credibility. Your edge as a small business is your humanity. Don't hide it behind a machine. By mastering these psychological triggers, curiosity, storytelling, empathy, and clarity, you turn your emails from ignored notifications into anticipated messages. You are no longer just a business in someone's inbox. You are a trusted advisor. You are the person who understands their problems and provides the solutions they need. This verbal strategy is the engine of conversion, but even the most persuasive words need a target. You can write the best story in the world, but if you send it to someone who doesn't care about the topic, it will fail. This leads us to the critical intersection of copy and data. Now that you know how to speak to your customer, you need to know exactly when to speak to them and how to measure if they are actually listening. Most business owners look at their open rates and call it a day, but in 2026, that is just the surface. There are deeper metrics that tell the real story of your business's health and its potential for growth. In the next part, we are going to dive into the world of analytics and optimization. We will look at how a boutique gym in Chicago uses heat maps and click tracking to redesign their offers in real time, and how you can identify the hidden signals in your data that tell you exactly when a customer is about to buy and when they are about to leave. We are moving from the art of the word to the science of the result. It is time to see if your strategy is actually working. In the 2026 digital landscape, data is the only compass that prevents you from flying blind. For years, U.S. small business owners relied on the open rate as their primary North Star. But in today's privacy-first environment, that metric has become a ghost of its former self. Due to the widespread adoption of mail privacy protection protocols by major providers like Apple and Google, many emails are marked as open by automated bots the moment they hit the server. If you are making business decisions based solely on open rates, you are essentially trying to navigate the streets of Manhattan using a map from 1920. To truly optimize your performance, we must look deeper into the secondary and tertiary metrics that reveal the genuine intent of your American audience. Let us look at the case study of a boutique gym in Chicago called Iron and Ivy. The owner, David, was frustrated because his analytics showed an 80% open rate, yet his class bookings were stagnant. In early 2026, David shifted his focus to the click-to-open rate, or CTOR. This metric measures how many people who actually opened the email took the further step of clicking a link. While his open rate was artificially inflated by bots, his CTOR was a meager 2%. By using a 2026-era heat map tool, David could see exactly where his subscribers were losing interest. The heat map revealed that people were scrolling past his high-resolution hero images and focusing entirely on a small text link about knee health buried in the third paragraph. Historical trends in the fitness industry suggest that U.S. consumers are increasingly wary of polished advertising and are hungry for functional, health-related education. David pivoted his entire strategy to lead with educational content, placing his call-to-action buttons immediately following these high-value sections. Within 90 days, his CTOR tripled, and his actual gym membership saw a measurable uptick. To achieve this level of optimization, you must implement UTM parameters on every single link you send. UTM stands for Urchin Tracking Module, and it is a simple string of text added to the end of a URL that tells your analytics software exactly where a visitor came from. For a small business in a competitive market like Los Angeles or Dallas, this is the difference between guessing and knowing. If you send a promotional email, a nurture email, and a personal follow-up, and a customer eventually makes a purchase, UTM codes allow you to see which specific email triggered the final decision. You are no longer wondering if your Tuesday morning broadcast was worth the effort. You have the data to prove its contribution to your bottom line. Beyond clicks, we must analyze the conversion rate. This is the percentage of people who clicked through your email and then completed the desired action on your website, whether that is filling out a contact form, downloading a brochure, or making a purchase. Imagine a florist in Denver named Maria. Maria noticed that while her Valentine's Day emails had a high click-through rate, her conversion rate on the checkout page was remarkably low. By diving into her website analytics, she discovered that the mobile checkout process was lagging by 4 seconds for users coming from her email app. In 2026, a 4-second delay is an eternity. Maria optimized her mobile landing page, and her conversion rate normalized. This is the science of the result, identifying the friction points that prevent data from turning into revenue. Another critical 2026 metric is revenue per subscriber. To calculate this, you take your total monthly revenue generated from email and divide it by the number of active subscribers on your list. This gives you a clear picture of the historical value of each person who trusts you with their inbox space. If your revenue per subscriber is dropping while your list size is growing, it is a leading indicator that your content is losing its resonance or that you are attracting the wrong type of leads. This is a common historical trend for businesses that prioritize quantity over quality. A high-performing U.S. small business should aim for a steady or increasing revenue per subscriber, which indicates that your nurturing strategies are effectively moving people up the value ladder. We also need to discuss the churn rate and the list growth rate. Every email list is in a constant state of decay. People change jobs, they switch email providers, or they simply lose interest in the topic. Historical data shows that the average American email list loses about 25% of its subscribers every year. If your list growth rate is only 15%, your business asset is shrinking. You must track these numbers monthly to ensure your top-of-funnel activities, like your lead magnets and social media referrals, are outpacing the natural attrition of the inbox. Optimization also involves the rigorous practice of A/B testing. also known as split testing. In 2026, we have moved beyond testing subject lines. We are now testing psychological frameworks. Imagine if you are a real estate agent in Phoenix named James. Instead of just testing 2 different headlines, James tests 2 different emotional angles. Email A focuses on the fear of missing out on current interest rates, while Email B focuses on the aspiration of owning a home with a private pool. By sending each version to a small 5% segment of his list, James can see which narrative resonates more with the current Phoenix market. He then sends the winning version to the remaining 90%. This scientific approach ensures that your most important messages are always backed by real-world performance data, rather than just a gut feeling. Step by step, you should begin your optimization journey by cleaning your list. This is called a re-engagement or sunset campaign. Identify anyone who has not opened an email or clicked a link in the last 6 months. In 2026, these inactive accounts are actively hurting your deliverability because they signal to providers like Outlook and Gmail that your content is not engaging. Send them a final, high-value offer to see if they are still interested. If they do not respond, remove them. While it may feel painful to watch your total subscriber count drop, the potential outcome is a much higher sender reputation and a more accurate data set. The ultimate goal of analytics is to identify the buying signals. These are specific patterns in the data that indicate a customer is reaching the peak of their interest. If a subscriber opens 3 emails in 24 hours and clicks the pricing link twice, that is a high-intensity signal. In 2026, your system should be configured to flag these individuals for an immediate, personalized follow-up. This is where the science of data meets the art of the sale. You are no longer shouting into the void. You are responding to the clear, data-driven invitations of your customers. We have now analyzed the results and optimized the engine. You have a system that is not only running but is constantly learning from its own performance. However, there is a limit to what a human business owner can do manually. To truly scale a U.S. small business in 2026, you cannot be tethered to your keyboard, checking analytics and sending manual emails every hour. You need a system that works while you are sleeping, while you are with your family, and while you are working on the other vital parts of your company. In the next part, we are going to dive into the world of advanced automation and AI-driven flows. We will look at how a luxury travel agency in New York uses automated branching logic to build personalized itineraries for thousands of clients simultaneously, and how you can set up these same invisible systems to handle the heavy lifting of your marketing. We are moving from manual labor to machine-assisted growth. It is time to put your business on autopilot without losing the human touch. In 2026, automation is no longer a luxury reserved for Silicon Valley giants with massive engineering teams. For the American small business owner, advanced automation is the force multiplier that allows you to provide a high-touch, personalized experience to thousands of customers simultaneously. We have moved past the era of simple autoresponders that send a generic thank you message. Today, we are building intelligent, branching ecosystems that respond to human behavior in real time. This is what we call the invisible salesman. It is a system that observes what your customers do, understands what they need, and delivers the right solution before they even have to ask. When implemented correctly, these automated flows can handle 80% of your customer nurturing and conversion, freeing you to focus on the high-level strategy and creative direction of your business. To understand the sheer power of this, let us look at a case study of a luxury travel agency based in Manhattan called Elite Escapes. The owner, Julian, realized that in the fast-paced environment of 2026, his wealthy clients expected immediate, tailored responses. If a client clicked on a link in an email about Italian villas, they didn't want to receive a general newsletter about global travel trends the following week. Julian implemented a branching logic flow. If a subscriber clicked the Italy link, they were automatically tagged with interest, Italy and interest, luxury villa. This tag immediately triggered a specific 4-part sequence. The first email sent 2 hours later wasn't a sales pitch. It was a curated guide titled The 5 Hidden Gems of the Tuscan Countryside. The second email, sent the next day, featured a video testimonial from a family who had recently stayed in one of those villas. Because the system was automated, Julian could provide this hyper-specific content to hundreds of different leads interested in dozens of different destinations all at once. Historical trends in the travel sector indicate that this level of behavioral targeting can result in a 50% shorter sales cycle, because you are meeting the customer exactly where their interest is peaking. The core of 2026 automation is the behavioral trigger. This is an email that is sent as a direct response to a specific action a user takes on your website, or within a previous email. The most common is the abandoned cart sequence, but in 2026 we have taken this a step further with browse abandonment. Imagine if a potential customer visits your online store, looks at a specific pair of handcrafted boots 3 times, but never actually adds them to the cart. In previous years, that lead would be lost. Today, your system can detect that high-intent behavior and trigger a helpful follow-up. Instead of a high-pressure "buy these now" message, the email might say, "We noticed you were checking out our heritage boots. Did you know they come with a lifetime repair policy? Here is a quick video on how we source our leather." You are providing value and answering a silent objection without ever manually checking your website logs. Step by step, building these flows requires a map of your customer journey. You need to identify the if/then moments in your business. If a customer buys product A, then they should receive a how-to-use sequence for product A. If they haven't bought product B after 3 months, then they should receive a upgrade your experience offer. This is called a post-purchase sequence, and it is the most profitable automation you can build. It moves the customer from a single transaction to a long-term relationship. For a coffee roaster in Seattle, this could mean sending an automated email 14 days after a purchase asking if the customer is running low on beans and offering a one-click reorder link. Data from U.S. e-commerce case studies show that customers who receive automated post-purchase support are 40% more likely to become repeat buyers compared to those who receive only a receipt. We must also discuss the integration of AI-driven predictive analytics. In 2026, your email service provider isn't just a database, it's an advisor. AI tools now analyze the historical open patterns of every individual on your list to determine the send time optimization. Instead of sending your weekly broadcast at 9 a.m. for everyone, the AI will stagger the delivery. It will send the email to Michael in New York at 8:15 a.m. because that is when he checks his phone on the subway, and it will send it to Sarah in San Francisco at 10:30 a.m. because that is when she takes her morning coffee break. This level of precision ensures that your message is always at the top of the inbox when the user is most likely to engage. Furthermore, AI can now perform sentiment analysis on the replies you receive. If a customer replies to an automated email with a frustrated tone, the AI flags it for immediate human intervention, ensuring that your automation never feels like a cold, uncaring machine. Dynamic content is another pillar of the 2026 masterclass. This allows you to send one single email that displays different content to different people based on their tags. Imagine you run a national outdoor gear brand. In your Friday newsletter, the hero image for a subscriber in snowy Minneapolis might show a heavy winter parka, while the hero image for a subscriber in sunny Scottsdale shows a lightweight hiking shirt. All of this happens within the same email template, using conditional blocks. You are effectively sending thousands of personalized newsletters with the effort of writing just one. The potential outcome of dynamic content is a significant decrease in unsubscribe rates, because the content remains perpetually relevant to the user's immediate environment and needs. However, the greatest risk with advanced automation is the set-it-and-forget-it trap. Many U.S. small businesses build these flows and then never look at them again. In 2026, the market moves too fast for that. You must perform flow audits every quarter. Are the links still working? Is the tone still aligned with your brand? Is the AI making correct assumptions about your audience? You must ensure that the human element remains at the center of the machine. We recommend personalized interjections, where you occasionally jump into an automated sequence with a manual, personal note to a high-value lead. This breaks the uncanny valley effect of perfect automation and reminds the customer that there is a real person who values their business. Automation is the bridge between a struggling small business and a scalable enterprise. It allows you to compete with corporations 10 times your size because you can match their efficiency while maintaining your local, personal charm. You are building a system that treats every customer like they are your only customer. But there is a final vital component to this entire strategy. You have the engine, the fuel, the precision, and the autopilot. But are you protected? In 2026, the legal and ethical landscape of data and privacy in the United States has become a minefield. One wrong move with your list, and all of this hard work could vanish overnight under the weight of a massive fine or a platform ban. In the final part of this masterclass, we are going to cover the legal fortress and ethical edge. We will look at the 2026 updates to the CAN-SPAM Act, the specific privacy laws in states like California and Virginia, and how you can turn compliance from a headache into a competitive advantage. We will show you how to protect your business and your customers' trust in an era of increasing digital scrutiny. The final piece of the puzzle is about to fall into place. We are moving from growth to sustainability. You have built the machine. Now it is time to make it bulletproof. Building a business in 2026 requires more than just marketing savvy and technical automation. It requires a legal and ethical fortress. As the United States federal and state governments continue to refine digital privacy laws, the cost of ignorance has never been higher. For the small business owner in America, compliance is no longer a checkbox on a yearly to-do list. It is a daily operational standard. If you fail to protect your subscribers' data or ignore the growing web of state-level privacy acts, you risk more than just a fine. You risk the permanent blacklisting of your domain, the loss of your payment processor, and the destruction of the brand equity you have worked so hard to build. We are entering an era where transparency is the ultimate competitive advantage. In this final part of our masterclass, we are going to break down how to make your email marketing machine bulletproof, ensuring it remains a sustainable asset for decades to come. To understand the gravity of the legal landscape, we must first look at the evolved state of the CAN-SPAM Act in 2026. While the core tenets of the 2003 law remain, the Federal Trade Commission has significantly increased its enforcement through automated monitoring systems. The basic requirements are non-negotiable. First, you must never use deceptive header information. Your from, to, and reply to fields must accurately identify who you are. Historical trends show that businesses trying to trick users with generic or misleading sender names are the first to be flagged by AI-driven spam filters. Second, your subject line must not be misleading. It must accurately reflect the content of the message. Third, you must clearly identify the message as an advertisement if it is promotional in nature. Fourth, you must include your valid physical postal address. For many U.S. small business owners working from home in 2026, this often means using a registered P.O. box or a professional co-working space address to maintain personal privacy while remaining legally compliant. The most critical part of CAN-SPAM compliance is the opt-out mechanism. In 2026, a simple unsubscribe link at the bottom of your email is the bare minimum. The law requires that you honor an opt-out request within 10 business days, but the modern American consumer expects it to be instantaneous. Any delay in processing an unsubscription is a fast track to a spam report. You must ensure your email service provider is configured to handle these requests automatically and globally across all your lists. Imagine Thomas, who runs a boutique architectural firm in Atlanta. Thomas had a legacy list from a previous business venture and decided to merge it with his current architectural firm's list without explicit consent. When several people tried to unsubscribe and found the process clunky, they reported him to the FTC. The potential outcome was a formal investigation and a temporary suspension of his ability to send bulk mail. This is a historical cautionary tale for any business owner tempted to take shortcuts with their list growth. Beyond federal law, we have the rise of state-specific legislation. In 2026, California's CCPA and CPRA, Virginia's VCDPA, and similar laws in Colorado and Connecticut have created a patchwork of requirements that every U.S. business must navigate. Even if your business is based in a state with no specific privacy law, if you have a single subscriber living in California, you are likely subject to their regulations. These laws introduce the concept of the right to know and the right to delete. This means a subscriber has the legal right to ask you exactly what data you have collected on them, and to demand that you delete it entirely from your systems. To be bulletproof, your 2026 strategy must include a dedicated privacy center on your website where users can easily manage their data preferences. This is not just about avoiding a lawsuit. It is about building a brand that respects the individual. Let's look at a case study of a mid-sized e-commerce brand in New York called Urban Threadworks. In early 2026, they revamped their entire sign-up process to move from a single opt-in to a double opt-in model. In a single opt-in model, someone enters their email, and they are immediately on the list. In a double opt-in model, they must click a confirmation link in an automated email to verify their intent. While this initially slowed their list growth by 15%, the quality of their list skyrocketed. Their engagement rates tripled because every person on the list had explicitly verified their desire to be there. Furthermore, when a minor data audit occurred, Urban Threadworks was able to provide a clear, time-stamped record of consent for every single subscriber. This proactive transparency turned a potential legal headache into a non-event and solidified their reputation as an ethical business. This leads us to the concept of zero-party data, which is the cornerstone of a sustainable 2026 strategy. As third-party cookies have vanished and tracking has become more restricted, The most valuable data is the information your customers give you willingly. Instead of trying to spy on their behavior, you should simply ask them about their preferences. Step by step, you can implement preference centers where subscribers tell you how often they want to hear from you and what topics they are interested in. If a customer in Philadelphia only wants to hear about your weekend sales but not your weekday blog posts, giving them that control prevents them from hitting the unsubscribe button. You are shifting the power dynamic from the marketer to the consumer, which is the hallmark of ethical marketing in 2026. Data security is the second pillar of your legal fortress. In the United States, a data breach can be catastrophic for a small business. You have a fiduciary and ethical responsibility to protect the names and email addresses of the people who trust you. This means using an ESP that offers two-factor authentication and has a robust history of security compliance. It also means training your staff to recognize phishing attempts that might target your customer database. Imagine if your list of 10,000 loyal customers was leaked due to a weak password on a secondary account. The damage to your reputation would be far more expensive than any marketing campaign could ever fix. Historical data suggests that 60% of small businesses that suffer a major data breach go out of business within 6 months. Protecting your list is protecting your livelihood. Finally, we must discuss the sustainability of your list as a business asset. If you ever decide to sell your company, your email list will be one of the most scrutinized items during due diligence. A buyer in 2026 will not just look at the size of the list, they will look at the health and legality of it. They will want to see proof of consent, low complaint rates, and high engagement levels. A list that was built through shady tactics or bought from a third party is a liability, not an asset. By following the masterclass principles we have covered, from technical setup to behavioral automation to legal compliance, you are building a high-value, portable, and recession-proof asset. You are no longer just sending emails, you are managing a database of human relationships. This concludes our 10-part masterclass on email marketing for U.S. small business in 2026. We have traveled from the initial hook and the importance of ownership to the deep mechanics of deliverability, design, and data-driven optimization. You now possess the blueprint to navigate the algorithm apocalypse and build a direct line of communication with your audience that no social media platform can touch. The transition from a struggling small business to a digital powerhouse happens when you stop thinking about email as a chore and start seeing it as the heartbeat of your operations. The future of your business is in the inbox. But while email is the king of retention and conversion, it does not exist in a vacuum. To truly dominate your local or national market, you must understand how this engine integrates with the next frontier of consumer communication. While email handles the long-form nurturing, there is a faster, more immediate channel that is currently exploding in the US market, boasting open rates of over 98% within the first 3 minutes of delivery. In our next masterclass series, we are going to explore the high-speed world of SMS marketing and mobile integration. We will look at how to combine the depth of email with the urgency of text messaging to create a multi-channel strategy that makes your business unavoidable in 2026. The journey has just begun.